talk about rates. Let's talk about how much money advertisers are spending. The other flip side of that coin, of course, is how much money network operators can take in. So what are you seeing in that territory? Are the rates going up? Where are they going up? Speak briefly about that.
Well, I mean, according to PQ Media, the doctor's offices see pretty much the highest CPMs that are out there. Obviously, cinema being a little bit different. Cinema gets incredibly high CPMs, but you've got a captive audience. I mean, it's essentially a television model there. But and they're very close to a call to action, a little bit closer than they would be when they're sitting in their living rooms.
If I can interrupt you, what are some typical CPMs? By the way, CPM, cost per 1,000. M is the Roman numeral for 1,000 viewers. So if I were an advertiser, I would pay, let's say, $10 to be able to have my message presented in front of 1,000 students on that campus. If there happened to be 10,000 students that went into that student union, then I would pay 10 times $10. I'd pay $100 for that ad to be presented to 10,000 people. Yeah. So what are typical CPMs out there?
Sure. Well, I mean, we're seeing doctors' offices, that type of thing. It's about anywhere from 10 to 13. When you go down to transit centers, they have places with very low dwell times, and it could be down, anywhere between 1 and 3. But I think that one of the things that's hurting the CPMs is people are not considering the location, how close the person is to the actual thing that the advertising is happening.
Or they're just negotiating real well.
Well, or yes, but they a lot of other people as well. A lot of investors come into digital out of home and they want to start up a network, and they just think, they do the math. Well, if I charge $1 for one day, and then there's so many different formulae that are out there that it's getting very, very confusing. So, instead of actually saying, I am not going to just try to sell out my network, I'm going to try to create value for that time. And that time, even if I can't sell it for 10, I'm not going to accept 7.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But a lot of people now are getting at the point where because the cycles are so long, they're getting at the point where, well, I need something. And that's not the best way to do that in the end, because you cannot go higher than the highest number that you give. So if you give somebody, if you say 7, you're not going to go higher than 7 for the CPM, even if you want 12, and you feel that you deserve 12. So there are other factors that influence that: dwell time, how close you are to whatever's being advertised, because that increases the chances that it's going to be picked up, and the other content that you're running on the screens. If it's simply advertising based, then it's a little bit less. But if you've got somebody, if you've spent the money to create content that's bringing eyes to the screen, you're going to raise it up. I think I got a question out there for.
We're going to stay focused here.
Sure.
Excuse me. We're going to stay focused here. So you're describing what I think is a real point of maturity in the digital out-of-home industry, because agencies, media buyers, are notorious for continually revisiting their budget. So they might come to me and say, gee, Lyle, we want to run a campaign next for the Christmas season. What would be your price? And so I give them my price of $20 CPM. Then they call a month later and they say, we're updating our budgets, we want to put you in, we're looking to having you in the plan for Christmas season. Tell me again, could you sharpen your pencil? What's that number really? Well, gosh, it used to be it would be 18, and then 16, and then 12, then 10. What you're describing is network operators understanding the game here, hanging tough, and really waiting for that insert order to define what that price is. And I think what you're suggesting is that if that ad agency, if that media buyer only has $10,000 to spend, for example, that the operator is going back and saying, here is the best use of your allocation to me. Of that 10,000, I would put it in these different places.
Exactly.
The aggregate of those locations being worthy of that $20 CPM.
Sure.
Okay, this is a real point of maturity in the industry then.
Well, I think you have to value the product that you're selling. Otherwise, there's no way. I mean, if obviously you can throw in a couple of screens for free somewhere, but as to sweeten the deal. But if you start to devalue things, and as networks come together and they throw out different rates with this almost the same types of places, then it's going to be so confusing to the marketers because they can't figure out what the value is, and they're using antiquated CPM cost factors and things like that. I'm not going to pay more than 17, or they have all these different ideas in the past, and they're not really understanding that a network can attract advertisers at a lower price, and then they can increase that by doing certain things, like by limiting the number of times it's shown, or by creating content that's going to draw eyes on a split screen, for example. These types of things can really change that number. So it's not like if you're already there at a low level, you're never going to go back up. It's just in a preliminary negotiation, you're never going to go back up. But over the long term, as they reevaluate, you reevaluate, and as more people sign on, then you can say, well, we're sold out right now. But I unfortunately, I haven't seen anybody sell out.